All right, welcome. Yeah, I'm gonna have a little stream before I go to work today. I am in color because the lighting is actually pretty good today. The weather has gotten much better than it has been the last couple of weeks. Was very hot down here, but now it's cooled off. Got a little bit of sunlight, natural lighting. So yeah, I'm going color. So last couple streams have been interesting. I've tried to get to as many comments as I can. However, obviously can't respond to everybody. There's just been a lot of comments on my last couple of videos, both on this channel and the Non Sequitur show. But there's still been some confusion out there, to say the least. There have been people that clearly did not watch any of the videos but leave comments. Look, I get that people are going to watch a 2-hour video. I understand that, but at least get the idea behind the video, the gist of it. I had people commenting the most dumbest things in the world that has nothing to do with my video. It's like, clearly you didn't watch it. And some of them were cut and paste. They were like literally something you just see on any video that's that long, berating me, clearly not understanding anything that I've actually said. So, in regards to that though, my last couple of videos on this channel dealt with Matt Dillahunty's position on the God question. And my position is very simple. I've listened to Matt for a long time. I've talked to Matt. I know people that talk to Matt. I am pretty well, absolutely, for all practical purposes, as far as I can be, reasonably speaking, sure of his position. And if I am getting it wrong, all he has to do is correct it. All he says, no, I'm not a strong atheist. I'm a weak atheist. But I've never heard him say that. What I have heard by listening to him over the years, including a video that I have in the video description, his position is he is a strong atheist. He has a positive affirmation that there is no God. He is what's called a positive atheist. And he's not using it as, oh, happy atheism. He's using it as he's a positive atheist that holds the belief there are no gods. Now, does he argue that that is what atheism is? No. His position is that atheism should be held in the negative or weak case. But if it is held in the weak case, and you have the differentiation between positive and negative, he himself holds the positive case, which, yes, is a subset of the weak. We understand that. We're using a Venn diagram. So all positive atheists are logically weak atheism, but there's clearly a different epistemic understanding when we use weak and strong terms, because a weak atheist only holds to a lack of belief rather than a positive belief. But all positive beliefs obviously have some kind of epistemic entailment that you don't believe, clearly. So he said numerous times that he is, again, somebody who professes his belief there are no gods. Now, he's been very clear on this as far as the qualifications, which usually I kind of loathe or detest multiple qualifications because they seem to have a lot of wiggle. But in his particular case, I'm going to grant him his qualifications are legit. He's not claiming with any absolute certainty there's a God, but again, that's neither here nor there. I don't think there's very many people out there claiming with absolute certainty there is no God, or there might be some that claim there is a God with absolute certainty, but there are very few people that probably say there absolutely isn't a God. But if there is, that's fine too. You can make those if you can make those arguments, I like to hear them. But absolute certainty has a lot of different connotations as well, and it's really, really difficult to make a rational argument for absolute certainty in the Cartesian sense or the Descartes sense. That's the whole point of Descartes' argument, although he kind of went off the deep end by saying, well, the way we get around it is because God wouldn't lie to us. Well, that doesn't work for me. His epistemology was such that, we can't be living in a brain in a vat, or we can't have this evil demon whispering in our ears because God wouldn't allow it. That's not a good epistemology. I'm having my coffee before I go to work. And so, I want to know why people are getting Matt's position wrong. They're coming to me and they're saying, no, that's not Matt's position. Well, it is. I'm telling you it actually is. You can go ask him. And they're saying, he's just saying that no God's presented to him. He believes. Matter of fact, he believes that all gods presented to him are false. He has said that as well. And that's fine. But he also has included the fact that all the gods not presented to him, he believes are false. And he will change his mind given evidence. That's his position, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Most atheists that watch my channels will have the position there is no God, but they will change their mind if given sufficient reason. Some may not. I had one the other day that said they wouldn't, and I was like, well, then you're epistemically closed-minded, and you're in violation of what I think would be a virtue in virtue epistemology. If you happen to say, look, there's no possible way you can convince me of something on a non-necessary fact, then I think you're pretty well closed-minded. I mean, I could be convinced of anything given, sufficient reason, except for a priori knowledge. I don't see how you could convince me that A does not equal A. I've had one person try, and he was an atheist, and his reasoning was so absurd, it was blowing my mind. But a priori knowledge must be true in all possible worlds. So, yeah, I don't see how I could change my mind on something like A equals A. But anything that's contingent, anything that's like, hey, is the sky blue? Is my name really Steve? Was I born some other name? These are all things that could be convinced with enough sufficient reason. If I had, I was adopted, my birth certificate actually has a different name. I do DNA testing, all this other things, found out my whole life was a lie. It can happen, right? So we generally don't have those kinds of epistemic absolute certainties in our beliefs or knowledge, even. And I'll get to the live chat in a second here. And he has also said that he's not claiming on a surety. He's not saying, look, there is no God and I'm absolutely sure of this, which is fine. Again, not a big deal. We're not asking for surety. We're not asking for certainties. We're asking for what is your dasastic state. And that is what he's giving. And that's what he has said. I'm just telling you what my belief is. He doesn't want to argue for it. He wants the theists to come in and argue their positions. But his position is, if you ask him what his belief is, he will say, I believe there's no gods. However, that's not all atheists. Atheism to him is merely a lack of belief. And then anybody who has lack of belief to him is an atheist, which, again, I will absolutely, to the end of the earth, say he's completely wrong on that. But whatever, that's his belief. And so I'm not misrepresenting his belief. I'm actually telling you what he actually believes. He's misrepresenting my beliefs. He has before, and I wrote an open letter to him explaining his misconceptions of my beliefs. But I have not, in any conceivable way, misrepresented his position. If you go ask Matt Dillahunty, he will tell you his position is a strong, positive, or what's called a explicit atheist. He holds the position there are no gods. This is well known to people that actually have talked to the guy. So I find it odd when people are coming to my page telling me that I'm misrepresenting his position when they in fact are misrepresenting his position. And all he has to do is clear it up and say, no, I don't hold the belief that there's no gods, or I'm not a strong atheist. If Matt Dillahunty said, look, I suspend judgment on the proposition God exists, which is, by the way, is agnosticism in philosophy, I would be stunned, but he could change his position. And the other thing that somebody was misrepresenting his position was on the term agnostic atheist. They were like, I've watched Matt Dillahunty for years. He's agnostic atheist. No, Matt Dillahunty is not agnostic atheist. He has said in 2017 to Anthony Magnabosco that he finds the phrase agnostic atheism to be nonsensical. Well, his words were, do not make any sense, which is nonsensical, with that particular word combination. He says it only makes sense in the strong case, which, in fact, I believe he's correct on this. I've written many things on this particular topic. Agnostic atheism only makes sense if you use atheism in the strong case, which is the belief that God does not exist. So, one sec. Okay, so I even showed in the video where he says, hey, even though it's on iron chariots, the term agnostic atheism doesn't make much sense to him because in the weak case it doesn't. Knowledge is a subset belief, so you can't have any kind of epistemic modification if you don't have belief first. It makes no sense to do it that way. In the strong case it does, but I mean, why would he label himself an agnostic atheist if he's already holding the case as positive? He could argue, well, I'm not making a knowledge claim, but I think he realizes that atheism itself is not a knowledge claim. It's a dostastic position. When you say, I believe God does not exist, you're not making a knowledge claim. If you say God does not exist, you're not making a knowledge claim. If you say even it's a fact that God does not exist, you're not making a knowledge claim. What you're making is a belief claim. You're making a statement about what you believe to be the case. Now, you can say, though, I have knowledge of this. I know, A equals A, right? I have knowledge of this, right? But if I just say A equals A, I'm not claiming knowledge. I'm only claiming what's called a belief disposition, epistemic disposition. So, he doesn't use agnostic atheism anymore, even though he's, like he said, it's still on the Iron Chariots wiki page. He doesn't use it. And I agree with him. I mean, he had multiple conversations with multiple people. Many of them I know I've talked to about this particular topic, so I'm pretty sure that a lot of the information he got on agnostic atheism probably came from my work. But, he just doesn't think it's makes sense to use agnostic atheists. And I agree with him. Now, again, he might use it in the strong sense because it's not nonsensical in the strong sense. It's superfluous, but I don't think that he does. But he does hold that an agnostic atheism in the weak case is nonsensical. And he's right. It really is. All right. So with that said, these are what I believe are Matt Dillahunty's position. I don't want anybody to come to me and say I got it wrong without evidence that he has said he does not hold that position. It doesn't do me any good if you're just spewing what you think is the case. I provided evidence that he has said this. I've provided videos. There's one in the video chat. There's other ones out there. I'm not going to go look for them right now, and I haven't bothered. But I have seen other ones. Other people have said yes. He has said he's a strong atheist. I know people that know him that say yes, he is a strong atheist. Who I trust explicitly. So unless he ever came out and said no, I would consider what's called agnostic in philosophy. I don't have a position either way. Then I clearly not misrepresenting his position because he has said I'm a positive atheist that believes that God does not exist. All right. So with those two things said, what say you all? Because again, I think that they are misrepresenting his position, not myself. The only thing I would like to add on that is that there's some people that were commenting on my video about withholding judgment, withholding affirmation or denial of a proposition. And their reasoning was bare possibilities, meaning, hey, it's possible God exists. Okay, so what? You cannot rationally justify withholding affirmation merely because something is possible. Possible just means not impossible. If something is not impossible, it's possible. There's a dichotomy there. So, and there's also different types of possibilities. There's logical possibilities, nomological, and biological, and metaphysical. There's a lot of different types of possibilities. And so when I say something is possible, I'm generally using logic. I'm usually saying that it is not a logical contradiction. So anything that's not a logical contradiction is logically possible. Okay, so if I say, hey, 5 minutes from now, flying pigs are going to fly out of my ass, spit silver dollars, and fart rainbows, that is logically possible. Why? Because there's no contradiction in there. Now, if I said flying pigs will and will not fly out of my ass in 5 minutes from now, that is a logical contradiction. That cannot happen. Now, is it a nomological possibility? Is it a violation of laws of the universe? I can't really argue that it would be. As long as it doesn't, I can't really make that argument strongly because I don't know what the formulas would be for figuring out, how imaginary pigs flying out of my ass. But we can say that biologically it is impossible, right? I would say biologically that's impossible. And I can't even argue it's metaphysically impossible because metaphysics would include the logical possibility as well. So yeah, biologically it is impossible, but logically it's not. So when I'm talking about possibilities, I'm talking about logical possibilities, which just means it's not a contradiction. So Matt, to say that you withhold affirmation or denial merely because something is possible makes no sense to me. Just because it's possible for God to exist is not a reason to withhold affirmation or denial. If you had a coin, and I responded to this person using this analogy. They said it was a bad analogy, and I don't get how. I don't think they understood it. But if I have a coin, and I flip that coin 9,999 times, and it all comes up heads, would you be rationally justified to believe on the 10,000th try it's going to be heads again? What say you? And I want you to think about this question and listen very carefully the way I'm wording it. Okay, I'm wording it very specifically. If you had a coin, or somebody else had a coin, doesn't matter who, had a coin, and that coin is flipped 9,999 times, and it has come up head every single time, would you be justified to believe on the 10,000th try it's going to be heads? I'm gonna put this to a vote. Let me put this to a vote, and I'm again carefully worded this, so think about how I'm asking it. Would you be justified? I'm just going to do it simply because you already know what it is. So yes, no. Add option. I like turtles. There we go. So people that have no idea how to answer. Let's give a little vote there. All right. So let me go through the live chat here. My moderator just walked in the door. Hi, moderator.
Hello.
How are you? You look nice today. You look tired.
Cool.
You did you get to she had can I tell? Can I tell? Yeah. My roomie had a hot date.
And he's a church boy.
And he's a church boy. Oh, you go, girl. Look at all blessing and stuff. No, don't worry, I'm gonna get deets. Good on you. She got hit on at work. You know what's, and I didn't tell you, I got hit on at work too, but nothing, but nothing I want to talk about. Is he cute? No, it was she actually. Yeah. It's so funny. She says was he cute? And I'm like, because I go to the bars and I do get picked up with guys a lot. I do get hit on by guys, and it doesn't bother me at all. I think I'm completely fine with it, obviously. But no, she was not. the one tooth she had left. Yeah. Anyways, sorry, off topic. Welcome to my show here. All right. So Daniel Cooper says, I have heard him say that he's a strong atheist. Yes, correct. April says, have I mentioned I love your hair? You're talking about my hair? April, you're talking about my hair? Because I got it all cut off. I just had a haircut not long ago. I happen to like this haircut. I happen to like it. I mean, I love my long hair. Don't get me wrong. But when I'm at work and when I'm talking to people in real life, I feel much more confident with short hair than I did with long hair. I felt when I had long hair talking to people, they looked at me odd, like I was some kind of hippie or something. I don't know. It didn't gel well for me. Now when I'm going out and I talk to people, I'm a hell of a lot more confident than I was with my longer hair. I've noticed the difference. And so, yes, I do like, and I wear my glasses out too. I was always, people didn't know this, but every picture you see me when I'm out, go look, almost every single picture you see me on my social media, I'm not wearing my glasses. Have you noticed that? I always wear contacts. But ever since I got my hair cut, I'm more confident wearing glasses. And I find that actually people are more willing to talk to you when you have glasses. I think they think that you're more intelligent. There's been studies done. Now I'm not wearing them because I want to think that way. I wear them to see. But I am more confident when I'm wearing my glasses than I was wearing my contacts. I don't know why. It's a psychological thing, obviously. All right. So Brandon says, an obnoxious atheist was best described as someone who acts like an agnostic so much you can't be confused for one. April says yes and no. Well, details. Janice says, yes, you'd be justified in your analogy, and I'm the only one you commented on. Yes, your hair. Okay, thank you, April. I got these AirPod things, right? Very inexpensive because I'm frugal as shit, but they work wonderfully. I love these. They're great. I still like my headphones too, but I'm going to be mixing it up a little bit. So I'm wearing AirPods right now. All right, so let's look at the results here. Yes, 56, no 11. I like turtles, 35. So the answer to this question, in my opinion, is yes, you'd be justified. Why would you be justified? Because if you have seen 9,909 rolls, you can justify that coin is not a fair coin. That coin is a non-fair coin. Why? Because the statistical probability of it being heads 9,999 times as a fair coin are so astronomical that you'd be foolish to believe it is a fair coin. Anybody in the right mind, if you in Vegas that had that happen, would go, that coin is not a fair coin, or it's double-headed. Has heads on both sides, or it's balanced. But even then, with balance, you could end up on its side, you can end up on tail. But let's just say that coin has both heads, right? Clearly, it's going to land heads every single time because it's not a fair coin. You can make these determinations. Why? Because of your observations. These are called inductive inferences. So you'd be justified by inductive inference that it would be on the 10,000 try of heads. Would you be sure? Would you be certain without examining the coin? No. You have no absolute certainty of anything when it comes to that. But you don't need absolute certainty. We're talking about epistemic justifications. Now, if my question was with a fair coin, would you be justified? Well, then, that's a different question. If you had a fair coin that had 9,099 times, you would not be justified because each flip is 50-50. But you would still have to wonder why you would have something that would never happen in the history of the universe. The universe could be trillions of years, and you're probably not going to have a coin flip 10,000 times, land heads every single time within your lifetime. It may happen, it may happen sometime in the life of the universe, but during your lifetime, no. I mean, the odds are going to be pretty damn high. Somebody could do the math. It's just 10,000 raised to the second power, I guess, right? What would be? No, I mean, would be not 10,000 raised. It would be two raised to the 10,000 power. Yeah. So 2 raised to the 10,000 power is a very high number. Yeah, this number is really, 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 really large. Like really large. Let me put. You know what? I'm gonna put in Wolfram Alpha because actually that gives me the wording of what it would be. So 10 raised to the 2,000 power, but 10 raised to the 10,000 power is has 3,011 decimal digits. Oh no, it didn't give me what it was called. Usually it gives me like oct, whatever, but it's a really high number. Okay, I mean, it's 1.99 times 10 to the 3,010 power. So yeah, that's really high. That's more than atoms in the universe. But Tom likes turtles. Yeah. Well, I like turtles too. So the point of the question was, just because there's a possibility it can end up tails does not mean you should be justified to withhold and not have a belief. Now, I know somebody's going to leave a comment, but Steve, what about the black swan fallacy? Okay, black swan fallacy is not a fallacy, by the way. It's just a fact of inductive reasoning. But who cares? The black swan can happen. The whole point of black swan is saying that you have something that's unexpected. So if the 10,000th time you flip that coin, it was tails and it was unexpected, that would satisfy the black swan. But so what? Your justification was still good. It has nothing to do with your justifications. Hey, Logic Zone, I missed you the other day. I tried waiting. I sent you some emails. Hope you watched the video. It was pretty good, the Non Sequitur show the other day. So when people say, look, there's a possibility God exists, therefore I'm not making the claim that God does not exist, that's not a rational justification. That's silly. That's silly. Because, I mean, would you say there's a possibility that Santa exists, therefore I'm not going to claim that there's no Santa? No, of course not. There's no such thing as Santa, guys. Sorry. If you're over the age of 6 and you still believe in Santa, I want to kind of know why. If you're a grown adult and you believe in Santa, I want to know why. There are people that do believe in Santa, I guess. But I think that's irrational. I think that there's sufficient evidence to warrant belief that there is no Santa, and to withhold affirmation, to be agnostic on that proposition is absolutely silly. And then somebody had asked me, well, what about fairies? I'm like, well, fairies don't exist. And they're like, what's your justification for it? I'm like, look, I don't have to give you a justification for my beliefs. If you're asking me what my belief is, I'm just telling you what my belief is. I'm relating to you my dostastic position. This is the same thing that Matt Dillahunty does, and I don't fault him for it. I've never, ever faulted him for this. If you're merely being asked what your state of mind is, what your belief box is holding, then you have no justification to explain to anybody that. If you just ask me what their beliefs is, this is my belief. You're done at that point. You have, and by the way, you have no onus to answer them either, right? I can say, well, it's none of your business. But if I decide to tell you what my belief is, I have not incurred any onus whatsoever to give you any other reasons why I have that belief, unless I'm trying to persuade you, and then I have an epistemic duty. But even then, you can flaunt that, right? I mean, yeah, I have an epistemic duty. I just don't care. I'm apathetic toward it. But if I have no reasons to persuade you, or if I don't want to persuade you, and I'm not trying to persuade you, what possible reason would you think I've incurred by telling you what my belief state is? I'm just giving you an autobiographical assessment. I'm just giving you something that's self-referential. There's no onus to be given there, and I think a lot of atheists make that mistake when they think that when somebody asks them about their beliefs, if they tell them the beliefs, they all of a sudden have this burden of proof that they don't have. They don't. I have no burden of proof to persuade you about my belief that Santa doesn't exist. I'd be like, that's my belief. You ask my belief. Yeah. If you say, well, what are your reasons? I can give them or not give them. That's my choice. But if I seriously have to think to myself, if I have to convince you there's no such thing as Santa, we're not having a real honest dialogue. Unless you are really agnostic on the proposition there's no Santa. You are undecided. You have not made a decision whether Santa exists or not. And again, I am not fond on using analogies using Santa, fairies, leprechauns, and things of that nature because people misuse those analogies. But when I do, I think they're apropos. So when it comes to Matt Dillahunty's positions, my question to you guys is, why are people misrepresenting them? When it has been cleared that his position is he's a strong atheist, he holds position there are no gods, why are people coming to tell me that even though he has said it 13 years ago, he doesn't hold that position today, and he's agnostic on the proposition? And I mean that in the philosophical sense. He can use the terminology any way he wants. But when I say agnostic on the proposition, it means philosophically that you have no position either way. You don't believe neither God exists or God that does not exist. You're just neutral on it. And I don't think for a second that Matt Dillahunty is neutral on the proposition, So George says, how many heads is a threshold? It's subjective. Welcome to beliefs. Beliefs are fuzzy. Only you know what you're convinced of once you're not convinced, which is a dichotomy. Either you're convinced or you're not convinced. There is no middle ground, George. George has a misconception about beliefs. He doesn't understand, because he's been on my page, that there is no middle ground between beliefs true and beliefs not true. There's a dichotomy there. There is middle ground between beliefs false and beliefs true. That's called agnostic. But either you believe or you don't believe. So George was saying, well, how can you believe something that has not been defined? Well, you can't, and therefore you don't believe, which is part of the dichotomy. And you can easily prove that by disjunctive syllogism. Believe or not believe. Not believe, therefore believe. And you could do that by double negation as well. But disjunctive syllogism means if you have two disjuncts and one of them is not true, the other one must be true. So I don't know why he would think there's a third position on that. There is not. The third position only exists between believes true and believes false, which I've demonstrated countless times is agnostic. And even what's so funny is even Matt's talked about that. Matt has acknowledged that many times, but he changes his view on it with respect to the audience he's having a discussion with. I've noticed that. He'll say one thing about agnostic and say it's not a middle ground, but then acknowledge between belief and non-belief there's a middle ground, which is called agnostic. But then he'll go to some other audience and he'll say, well, there's no middle ground between belief and non-belief. Yeah, but that's not what agnostic is. Now, nobody's ever claimed that I've seen agnostic be a middle ground between belief and non-belief. Nobody. I've never seen this happen. Show me anybody who's argued this, especially in the academic literature. Never has happened. So he's created his own straw man because he is aware, I believe he is aware, because I've heard him talk about it, that agnosticism in the academic literature is the middle ground between beliefs true and beliefs false, which is logically, obviously, easily to be demonstrated. And by the way, I will be doing a video stream on that one charts, easy charts or whatever it is, charts for you. The dude has 1 million subs and he's working on his PhD in religious studies. And he just fundamentally screwed the pooch on it, I believe. When you got that kind of audience and you screw the pooch and you're doing a PhD research and your research is just talking to 17,000 atheists, that I want to read his paper. Why not talk to academics? Because even if you're doing something specific to your thesis, what the hell does that have to do with educating people on these topics properly and explain to them what these terms mean if you decide to go to university? Because I guarantee it, the university he goes to is not going to be using the terms the way he does. I have never seen a single solitary university use terms like agnostic atheist in any kind of coherent manner. The only times I've even heard him talked about is explaining they probably don't make sense. And they're very far and few between. Paul Draper mentions it in SEP, Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and there's been smidgens here and there, but the first time the term agnostic atheism even came around in any kind of print, I believe it was in the book called Agnosticism by Robert Flint, which came out in 1903, but don't quote me on that. But I think it was Robert Flint, somewhere along the lines, that used the term agnostic atheist, but he wasn't using it in modern contemporary analytical philosophy, the way they would be used. He was using agnostic atheist to mean the way Huxley was using it at the time, which was a normative epistemic principle. So you cannot use something from 100 years ago to now because the term had been changed. The phrasing he used was hit in context. This is what's known as doing an internal critique versus an external critique. If you're doing an internal critique, you have to understand the way that these words were used 100 years ago. Just like when you do an internal critique with the Bible, you don't read in your own biases to it. You're reading in what the mindset of the writer had in mind when he wrote these things. So the mindset of Flint when he wrote the term agnostic atheism is nothing compared to how people are trying to use the term today. Not even comparable. Logic says, I'm going to turn on bell for your channel so don't miss the next one. Good idea. I keep telling people hit the notification bell because even though it doesn't work always, it still works some of the times at least. April says, I don't believe beliefs are a dichotomy. Beliefs themselves are not dichotomous. There's an infinite number of beliefs, but the dichotomy is you believe the proposition or you don't believe the proposition. There cannot be any other options. For any proposition given, there are two epistemic states. So I say that. There's multiple epistemic states, but there's two dichotomous positions that there is no middle ground. Either you do or you don't, right? No, the dichotomy, April, is black or not black, white or not white, gray or not gray. Those are dichotomous. Believe or not believe is a dichotomy. You can create any dichotomy by just putting not in front of it or non, right? Either something is black or it is not black. There's no middle ground to be had there in classical logic. We're not talking about other forms of logic where it allows for, true contradictions, which can exist in diatheistic or paraconsistent logics. But we're talking about in classical, which is also known as intentional logic. In that type of logic, either you believe or you don't believe, right? Black or not black. Now, you can say, well, there's black in there. Okay, but either you make the decision that's sufficient enough to call that black, or you don't call it black, or gray or white. But either something is the case or it is not the case. There is no middle ground. Now, when you start getting into the complexities of beliefs, then I think that classical logic doesn't really hold congruent to what we have as far as belief states. And I would agree with you. There's a lot of fuzziness there. This is why there's developing logics that deal more specifically with beliefs, like dosastic logic, epistemic logic, fuzzy logic, multi-valued logics. These are types of logics out there that are more too nuanced to talk about how beliefs are actually done. But we're talking about classical logic for right now. So, Matt Dillahunty made an atheist, a person called Xbox Fiend, who I know Xbox, made a Huxley agnostic. Sorry, Matt. Yeah, Matt, Xbox Fiend. By the way, I've been trying to get back to him. He messaged me on Discord not too long ago. He's doing pretty well, Xbox Fiend, who I go back with a very long way. I just don't get on Discord much. But Matt, Xbox Fiend is only one of two Huxley agnostics I've ever met in my life. I mean, seriously, in my life, I can only think of two Huxley and agnostics I've ever met. Three, including TomTom now. Sorry, three, including TomTom. I am not a Huxley agnostic. Not against Huxley agnosticism, but it's just nothing that I hold to. But again, I'm not arguing against Huxley agnosticism. But when I say I'm agnostic, that's not Huxley agnosticism. That coffee is so good. Anyways, back to the subject at hand. I do have to get ready for work here very, very soon. I do want to know why people are misrepresenting Matt's position, and then worse, saying that I am. So here's what I'm going to be doing. If you comment on my page that I'm misrepresenting Matt's position, show me a clip where Matt is telling people that I'm misrepresenting his position, and or this is a conjunction or disjunction, or that he specifically says he has withheld judgment on the proposition, he's agnostic on the proposition, he has no position either way, or that he is specifically only a soft office atheist, and that he has never been a positive atheist. And that's a huge caveat too, because he did say he's a positive atheist. Those are his words. I'm a positive atheist who believes, and I believe there's no God. These are his words. I mean, it's in the specific things he said in the video that's in the video description. I put it on the thumbnail too, so those are his words. I'll repeat them here actually, so I get them on the record as soon as I find them here, because I have them somewhere. He says, quote, "I have the positive belief there is no God. I don't require absolute certainty in order to make for my definition of knowledge, absolute certainty is required, but I'm not even asserting knowledge. I'm just stating what I believe to be true. I have no issue with that." He's very clear. He's just stating what he believes to be true, which means he's doing what's called an autobiographical assessment, which is self-referential, saying, okay, what are my belief box states? What beliefs do I have in my belief box? And then telling somebody what that state is. Nothing wrong with that. That's all you have to. You don't even have to do that if you don't want to. You don't have to tell somebody your beliefs. But if you do, that's all you're to be an honest, interlocutor. And somebody asks you what your beliefs are, you should give them your honest beliefs, right? You shouldn't lie about your beliefs, I don't think. So he is giving somebody his honest beliefs. Yes, my honest belief is there are no gods. That has nothing to do with how he holds atheism in his shows. He can still hold atheism to be strictly anybody who doesn't believe in God, but he goes one step further and says there is no God. That is his position, right? And also he makes it clear he's not making any kind of claims to certainty. Well, that's fine, but then again, that's kind of a given, right? If you say there's no God, there's no entailment, there's no implicature that you're making a certainty claim. None whatsoever. None. So sure, he can state that and qualify, but he's not really even qualifying anything. He's just making sure that I think people realize that when he's making those kind of statements, he is not making them as absolute statements. Because there's nothing to qualify. There's nothing to modify. When you say God does not exist, there's no implication of there being any kind of certainty claim. Now, if you say, I am certain there are no gods, that's an entirely different claim. Entirely different claim. And that requires an entirely different type of justification. So, Let's see here. All right. So again, I have told people, if you come to my page, don't troll. Don't come at me sideways. It's never gonna go well for you. People did. Some people I kept. Some people I just removed by outright. If I removed you by outright, it means your comment was so beyond the pale. You shouldn't be even on YouTube commenting on something. It's just, you had nothing of any value whatsoever. I mean, I don't mind if somebody says, "Hey, Steve, you're a poopy head and you're wrong. Here's the evidence you're wrong, blah, blah, blah." Great. Knock yourself out. Call me anything you want. I don't care what invectives people call me. But if you get my position wrong and you don't even watch the video, I'm not going to have much time for you. Okay. I'm just not going to waste my time. And many of the comments left relating to a negative comment to my videos, they clearly either didn't watch the videos or they didn't add anything of value to say that I was, just to show that I was wrong. Not one person so far, not one that I recall, has given me any academic citations whatsoever. Not one has given me any evidence that I'm wrong on these things. Not one. And then when I asked them, well, what have you read on this? Absolutely nothing. And many of them said, well, I know nothing about epistemology, nothing about philosophy, but you're wrong. Anyways. Yeah, I'm not going to waste my time with you. Come on. That's just silly. You think that if you go to a mathematician and you say, "Hey, look, I think your mathematical proof is wrong." Well, why is it wrong? Oh, I don't know. You're just a mean poopy head. They're going to give you much time, of their already probably busy schedule, doing math proofs. Same thing with my paper, right? When somebody says my paper is wrong, I'm not going to give you any time if you just say, "Oh, your title's wrong." I had somebody do that. I swear to God, your paper's wrong because your title's wrong. How can a title be wrong? There's no truth value assigned to a title. I mean, maybe if it's propositional, sure, but you're making an argument. The title is telling you the argument of the paper. If I say, why is the sky blue, and then I argue why the sky is blue, why is the sky blue is not propositional. Now, if I say the sky is blue, sure, that's propositional, but you can't just say that is wrong merely because of the title is just telling you the reasons, or what you're going to have is reasons to support that title. You can't just say, "Oh, your title is wrong." Okay, but here's my argument why the sky is blue, right? But that's what I had people, coming to my channel for. And this is what I'm saying. My channel, I want my channels to be set up for a higher level of reasoning and higher level of discussion. I'm not going to be doing this fruit on the ground shit. I haven't for years. I even have a collection of videos called Fruit on the Ground Creationism. Because I get tired of dealing with fruit on the ground people. I'm not going to go over the same prats and the same nonsense over and over and over again by people that just have absolutely no understanding of the topics. I'm just going to call them fruit on the ground, block them, or just ignore them and move on. I'm not going to get much of my time. And I recommend that for any content creator. If you go after a content creator, you do so with, one, be a little respectful, but two, go after with reason, go after with logic, go after with evidence, go after with peer reviewed papers. Don't come at somebody sideways, especially when, I look at their account and like one account was created, I think October 6th, 2022, like 10 days ago. Yeah. You're going to be somebody that I really give a crap about hiding behind some kind of new account that you created 10 days ago to come on my channel. No, those get deleted for the most part. And yes, I delete comments. Absolutely. It's called moderation. It has nothing to do with making an echo chamber. It has nothing to do with being butthurt. These are just hyperbolic terms that people use. Again, call me anything you want. Just give me evidence for your argument. Say I'm stupid. Say I'm an idiot. I don't care. They don't bother me at all. They really don't. But if you say you're stupid and you don't give me any reasons for what I got wrong, I'm going to be probably not somebody that not somebody that's going to really pay much attention to you. Because hey, look, we all could be stupid and things, right? I mean, if I say something stupid and somebody says, "Hey, Steve, you're stupid. You said this," I'm like, "Yeah, that was a stupid comment." I'm probably going to agree with you, So, yes, I know, April. I'm a poopy head. It's an ontological fact. Am I a poopy head? I'm a poopy head.
Yes, you are sometimes.
We all could be poopy heads, though, right? It's the clan of poopy heads. Yes. There's the CPH. The church, I hear it now. The church of poopy headness. Become one with us. Become a poopy head. You know what? Oh my God, I have an idea. I can't tell you my idea, but I have an idea. I can't tell you my idea because, people steal my shit. People steal my ideas all the time. But anyways, so Daniel says, "I know of plenty of theists out there that make the absolute certain claims about their position." Absolutely, they do. Yeah, I do too. Do I think they're justified for it? No. I don't think I've never heard a theist give me any kind of really sufficient argument to their claim, because, and I'm not even talking about whether God exists or not, right? We're not talking about the ontological status of God. We're talking about, are they justified to even make that claim, right? If you make the claim that you're absolutely certain there is a God, I have to determine whether I think that your justification is legit or not in any relevance to if there's God or not. God cannot exist. Let's say there is no God. Let's say in the universe there are no gods, but somebody says, "Hey, I'm absolutely certain there's a God." They still might be rationally justified to believe that, even though this is a false belief, right? So the truth of the ontological status of the proposition has really no relevance so much to the epistemic warrant or justification for that particular belief, right? Some people may be justified to have a false belief. In pragmatism or prudentialism, there are arguments to be had that a false belief might be beneficial. Therefore, you are justified to have that false belief, right? People have false beliefs all the time that we find to be justified. Look, if my roommate here is walking in the middle of nowhere in some kind of white supremacist area full of redneck racist, she's probably going to be justified to believe that somebody might be following her, whether it is somebody or not. Why? Because of historical context, right? The belief might be false. There may be nobody actually following her or anything like that. But if she thinks that it's prudential to believe that somebody's following her and act accordingly, then that false belief might be beneficial, right? So again, we can't link the ontological status of God existing or not with the justification. Now, I don't think any theist has justified absolute certainty that there's a God. I just don't. I like to hear their arguments on that, though. That's one thing I would talk about, right? Because those are arguments that, are kind of subjective, right? It is subjective whether you made your justification or not. Let's see here. Kimomaki, your boot heels have worn down this dance floor for years. Nothing new in the sun. Yeah, pretty much. No, occasionally somebody come up with a little bit new. But it is rare. But I'm telling you, the people that will like argue with me with something absolutely I've never heard of before, I'm enthralled. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. Let's think about this. And I have had to do that before. It's been a while. But I've actually had to say, you know what? I'm going to get back to you on this. Let me think about this. Let me ponder this for a while. And I love that. I love when I have to go, wait, I have to think about this. And then I'll come back and say, okay, I've thought about it. And here's my, rejoinder. Daniel Cooper says mean poopy head is no longer the correct wording. Oh, mean poopy head is a subset of poopy head, right? Mm-hmm. Not all poopy heads are mean, but all mean poopy heads are poopy heads. So yes, you could use mean poopy head if you like. George says reason I misrepresent him is because he never gives arguments for that position. Well, actually, Matt has argued. I've seen Matt argue why there's no God. I mean, he's actually given his reasons why he believes in no God. He doesn't do it on the show very much because his position is the show is designed to have theists call in and give their reasoning, right? And I get that, right? I'm not even faulting him for having a show like that. I'm not. I think it's gotten to the point of mockery. I think the show has left any kind of semblance of what it used to be. Now, he prides himself on yelling at theists, hanging up on theists. He's working with, one of the most dishonest content creators I've ever met in my life, Jimmy Snow. This tells you to me, it's all about their ego. It has nothing to do with the topics any longer. Flame, how can somebody steal your ideas if you still have them? They appropriate them. How about that? They appropriate their ideas as their own, become their own, and then use them, for their own personal usage. But anyways, George, by the way, would you like to come on? I have maybe a half hour, 45 minutes, give or take. Yeah, I got time. I mean, I can open this up with the StreamYards if you want to come in, George, and ask me questions. I really don't mind. In fact, I'll do it anyways to see if anybody wants to join. But I mean, let me ask you guys. I mean, seriously, I'm going to do another poll here in a second. Let me get the StreamYards out there, and I'm going to ask you guys another poll here. Okay, entering studio. Add to stream. All right, so this is the link to join. I'm going to pin that. All right, so let me ask you guys this. Have I misrepresented Matt Dillahunty's position? Give me a simple yes or no, and then I'll ask you if why if you say no. So my question to the audience, live chat, is have I misrepresented Matt Dillahunty's position? That my claim is Matt Dillahunty has said and is a positive, strong, explicit atheist. And if you use those terminologies, he holds the belief that there are no gods presented to him and not presented to him. Now, he has said more explicitly that every god that presented to him, he believes is false. He has said that explicitly, but he's also, in one video that I have somewhere, he has also said, and those not presented to him. He's included that as an addendum to what he has said, meaning that he believes there are no gods. There are no gods presented and not presented. They don't exist. However, he has also said that he's not absolutely certain about that. He will change his mind on that if he's presented to God. All those other caveats and things that he's added into that, which is perfectly fine. I have no issue with any of them. I think they're kind of redundant, but whatever. I understand why he does it, because he's trying to make it very clear to people that when you say there are no gods, you're not implying anything else about certainty. So Chris Taylor says, no, thank you. Thank you. So there's one person who says I have not misrepresented Matt Dillahunty's position. So what else? Anybody else? Weigh in here. And George, I did put the link. It is pinned there. I have to end the end poll first. And there we go. There, now it's pinned. Oh no, I think both of them came up. I didn't have to end the poll, but whatever. The vast majority voted on that anyway, so they've said yes. So he has assuredly said he believes God does not exist. Right? No, I've listened to Matt for a very long time. I know, and this is kind of funny when people say, "Well, I've listened to Matt for a long time. He's never said he believes there's no gods." Go look at the video. Oh, that was 13 years ago. Again, moving the goalpost, right? This, by the way, that's a perfect example. That's a textbook example of the fallacy of moving the goalpost. I mean, I can't get more textbooks than that. When you say he's never said something, and I say, well, here's him saying it, and you say, well, that was 13 years ago. He's changed position. Now you move the goalpost, right? Like, so you can then say, okay, he has said that. I recognize that. Thank you for pointing that out, Steve. But in 10 years, he's changed his position, which I would come back and say, wait a minute. So you honestly believe in 10 years that he has changed from the belief there are no gods to not having a belief the other way? He's moved from philosophically, strong atheism, or just atheism in philosophy, to agnosticism? Is that what you're arguing with me? Because I guarantee that's probably not the case. You're basically saying over 10 years, Matt has become less of an atheist, or less convinced that there are no gods. Because when you say that you believe there are no gods, you're saying I'm convinced that gods don't exist. And now you're telling me over 10 years, he's moved from that position. He no longer has that position, and he's not convinced there are no gods. Really? He's moved from a state of higher epistemic position, right? Because when you say that I believe it's higher than I don't believe, just like knowledge is higher than belief, just like certainty is higher than knowledge. These are all subsets. So the way it would work is you have absolute certainty would be probably the highest, and then you'd have maybe certainty. And then you'd have, I mean, somebody could argue they're the synonymous. I'm not going to get the nuances with Descartes' certainty, but whatever. This is a certainty. You have certainty. Then a little bit less, you have knowledge, because knowledge does not require certainty, which Matt points out, and he's absolutely right on that. As far as justified true belief, the way he defines knowledge is how I define knowledge. I don't think we disagree on how we define knowledge. Belief is a subset of knowledge, or something. Knowledge is a subset of belief. So you have, I don't believe, I believe, I know, and I'm certain. Those are all higher epistemic levels of confidence. So the poll complete was 28 votes, 60% like turtles. Yeah, go turtles. 32% yes, 7% no. Good. Would you be justified? And like I said, those who voted no, would you be justified? I really like to hear your reasoning in the comment section later on, because again, if you have a coin that has been flipped 9,909 times, I absolutely think that you have justification to believe inductively that the coin is going to be heads the 10,000th time. That's what induction does. Matter of fact, what's called strong cogent induction would be a situation where you have a majority of the situation to justify your position. In fact, if one of the examples I use all the time, and this is straight out of Rutgers, I think it was Rutgers. It's some logic book that I've read, but it's something along the lines of there are most of the gumballs in a jar are blue. X is a gumball in the jar. X is blue. And there might be a little paraphrasing there, but you get the point, right? It's not that I believe X is blue, or it is more likely X is blue. This is the conclusion. X is blue. That is a strong, cogent, inductive argument. If the premises are true, which we're going to assume the premises are true. We're going to assume that the jar exists. We're going to assume that, let's say that most of the gumballs are blue. Let's say there's 100 gumballs. Okay. And most of them, which meaning over 50%, 51 of them are blue, 49 are not blue. Doesn't matter what color the other ones are, just they're not blue, blue or not blue. That's the dichotomy. The conclusion is X is blue if you just draw a random gumball out of there. Does it mean that X has to be blue? Nope. Does it mean X is must be blue? No. But it's an inductive argument that is a strong, cogent argument. One, because the premises are true. And two, cogency means that for an inductive argument, it is greater likelihood of 50%. But less than 100%. Now think about that. It's greater than 50%, which means most, right? It means more than just simple half, but less than 100% for an inductive argument. So let's test your guys' reasoning out. Why can an inductive argument not be 100%? Why is it that the conclusion cannot be guaranteed? George says I'm too shy. Oh, that's okay. I know. I get that. I get it. I'm not going to dog you for that, man. I'm not going to dog you for that. Not everybody wants to come on panel. I get that. Flamo loves turtles. Kimamaki says, not sure as I get older, become less comfortable holding some beliefs I had when I was younger. Well, that's fine. Yeah, completely understandable. Man, this coffee is making me sweat a little bit. I can feel it on my mustache. When I go like this, I'm actually just like feel like I'm sweating. I got a little dribble. So does anybody know? Come on, Kimamaki, I think you can answer this question. Why is it that for an cogent, strong, inductive argument, you can't have 100% where the conclusion? Oh, there's my alarm. Hang on one sec. One sec. Let me turn off my alarm there. Okay, sorry. That was my alarm to get up. See, I have to get up. So I got some time though. I got a little bit of time. I mean, I work late shifts, so I close late. But I mean, I will wrap this up soon. This is for you guys. This is for the people that, are patrons of the channel, friends of the channel, subscribe to this channel, members of the channel, people that support the channel. I like to stream before I go to work or after I come home from work, just, to hang out with you guys. So, Leo says the conclusion of inductive arguments isn't logical necessity as an inductive argument. This is true, but I would qualify that with local necessity, and the reason being is because there's some misunderstandings, and you don't have it, but there are other people that have misunderstandings about scope. Logically necessary is only in the local situation with like modus ponens or conclusion of the thing. It's not a global necessity, and there's a distinction to be made when you're talking about necessities because you're dealing with modalities. So it is locally necessary if the conclusion is guaranteed by some kind of rule of inference. And so the point that Leo is making, and he's correct, an inductive argument, it doesn't have a rule of inference that is logically concluding the conclusion must be the case, right? If the premises are true and it's logically inferential. We got inferential. And more so, if it was logically inferential and the conclusion was guaranteed, you would no longer have an inductive argument. You would have a deductive argument. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Leo on that. Kimok says, in an inductive argument, there's no way you exhausted all possibilities that might run contrary to your findings. Well, yeah, and that's very much in the nature of induction, right? Induction is not guaranteeing the conclusion. This is what the whole point of the black swan fallacy is, and it's not a fallacy. you can't say that an induction is going to guarantee your conclusion. Right. So there's a whole myriad of possibilities that can say, well, yeah, the marble may not be blue, but you can still make an argument that the one marble you drew is blue based upon strong cogent argument. Doesn't mean you're guaranteeing it. It just means that you can make the argument by induction that it is. Kimaki, Leo's got it right. Yeah, Leo's correct on it. Like I said, I would just add, not because of Leo, but for other people, that we're talking about local necessities. Leo says the structure of inductive argument is, as I understand it, largely probabilistic. Yes, it is greater than 50%, less than 100%. So I would say that absolutely is probabilistic. The truth of the premises only increase to some degree the truth of the conclusion, but on tailbite, correct. You cannot say that the conclusion is guaranteed by the premises. Yeah, absolutely correct. But as I said, we're talking about local necessities. And I wrote a blog on the difference between local and global necessities and modalities. If anybody's interested in reading it, I really went off the deep end in the last part of this blog entry, because I was like, I'm just gonna go wild here, and I really would like somebody to critique my argument at the very end of this blog that I'll show you guys in a second. Because I was like, okay, I'm just going to go way out there and see if this even makes sense to anybody. But the rest of it, I think I made decent sense on. Oh my God, it doesn't even come. It's been so long, it doesn't even come up when I search for it. Where's this argument at? Search. Where is this? Nope. Nope. I think it's this one. I got a lot of blog entries, don't I? Yep, it's this one. All right, so I'm gonna put this in the live chat. I'll put it in the video description later for the people. It's called breaking modal logic. Breaking logic, playing with modal logic. There's something like that. So go check that out. Let me know what you think of it. Breaking logic, playing with modal logic. False conclusions from valid and sound arguments. All right. And the reason, again, what I was talking about is that you still could maybe not have a guaranteed global conclusion based upon your premises. And I give examples of that. And these examples are kind of modified, taken from logic books that I've read. And again, don't take me at my word. Again, I'm no expert by any stretch of imagination logic. I've got a freshman understanding of logic, and I mean freshman college level. That's don't go much beyond that. Okay. So everything I say is very, very, very basic in logic. These are not high level stuff by any stretch of imagination. But I think, basic logic, we also have some understanding of. And so when I'm talking about basic modal logic, I'm using very simple stuff. So it's not that high end. But let me know what you think, because again, I want people to understand that the difference between scope, modal scope, where you have a difference between necessary as the conclusion from the argument and conclusion as an absolute condition. Daniel Marbles, talk about gumballs? Yeah, either or. Pick one. Leo says, that's why inductive arguments cannot be given in terms of validity and soundness. Correct. You don't use sound or valid for inductive. You only use them for deductive. The equivalent, to some degree, in inductive is sound, is cogency and strength. There is other names for strength, by the way. Yep. I just call it strength. But it's basically, is it a strong or weak inductive argument? Okay, so it appears that nobody thinks that I have misrepresented Matt. That's good. Thank you very much. If anybody, again, believes that I have, I look forward to your comments. Show me evidence. But again, I'm going to reiterate this for the umpteenth time. Don't come at me sideways. You're just going to be wasting my time and yours. I'm just not going to care. And most of them get deleted. It just, I don't want my my YouTube videos be filled with these nonsensical comments by idiots. I'm not here for the morons of the world. I don't care about them. I mean, the only thing I do is I talk about flat Earth because I find it entertaining, and I think they're idiots, obviously. But I'm not here to cater to stupid people. I can't do it any longer. I just can't. There's other millions of channels you can watch. Don't watch this channel if you know some kind of Matt Dillahunty stand where you just believe him by fiat and you have no interest in these topics. You're not going to have any. I'm not going to get any value out of it. You're not going to get any value out of it. It's not going to happen. There's a million channels out there for atheists that don't care about the topics. They don't care about atheism. They don't care about epistemology. They don't care about having rational belief systems. So, okay. Go argue by meme with somebody else. Go just say, oh well, you're just doing this for motive of this, and this. No, you're just automatically wrong. Because again, I will tell you what my motives are. I don't care. I'm doing this because I like talking to you guys. That's it. I mean, again, before I'm going to go work, this is not going to be some video that's going to make 1 million views. It's going to get demonetized like all my other videos do. And then they get monetized a couple days later after everybody's already watched them. So I don't make anything off of them. Okay. So, it is really weird though. Most of my videos will come up, demonetized or yellow until I do a review, and that view may take a day or two. By then, anybody's already watched the video, right? So, not making anything off those. All right, I'm gonna leave it with April here. You didn't misrepresent Matt. There you go. I'm gonna leave it with that. I'm gonna pin that to the top there. So. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to end this so I can go get ready for work. It's 3:00. I got to get going. Flamo, atheists can argue with me and lose. Yeah, well, we can, Flamo, I like having you on. So, message me if you want to come on next stream. I am off Monday. I am streaming with, Nikki, I believe on Ghost Stories, but I'm trying to work on getting, kind of a show thing for her, and I haven't quite finished it yet. Almost there. But I believe I'm streaming with Nikki, 38 on her channel on 3:00, I believe Monday, but I'm going to try to stream afterwards or maybe before. I had something else planned too. Oh, I'll figure it out. But yeah, Flamo, let's get some atheists to argue with you. April, would you come on? Would you come on to argue with Flamo one of these days? Oh, don't go to Modern Day Debates Discord and talk. I offered you both on. I mean, you can go wherever you want. I was kidding, but ultra dumbest atheists are all about drama. Well, that's called a generalization fallacy or hasty generalization fallacy. You cannot categorically include everybody in something like that when they're clearly atheists who don't care about the drama. So that is fallacious. This channel is all about pointing out fallacies and recognizing fallacious argumentation, and then pointing out bad call-outs of fallacious argumentation. I've had people say, well, Steve, you committed a fallacy. I'm like, where? And they don't understand the fallacy. Many people who have never had any college level education on fallacies, and yes, I did take fallacies in college. It was called contemporary rhetoric, informal fallacies and contemporary rhetoric. They don't understand what a proper ad hom fallacy is. They don't understand what argumentium ad populum is. They don't understand what argumentium argument for appeal to an expert. Argumentium ad verecundium is called. They don't understand these things. And they just throw these things out there. You committed this fallacy. And I'm like, no, this person didn't. Look, a citation is not a fallacy. Citing an expert in the relative field that he's pontificated upon is not a fallacy. If I say, hey, look, my paper has been reviewed by experts, I'm confident my paper is correct, that's not a fallacy. It's not argumentium ad verecundium. It's a citation. And even if it is argumentium ad verecundium, it's non-fallacious. There are non-fallacious versions of appeal to authority. You can argue it's appeal to authority by citation. Okay, that's fine. It's called legit appeal to authority, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fallacious nature of it. There's no fallacy of appeal to authority when you cite something as to buttress your paper. It just doesn't work that way. Now, if I would say my paper is true because experts have agreed with it, that's fallacious, right? There's a difference to be had there. Enjoy your work shift as much as you can. Yeah. Like I said, I enjoy what I do. I catch people doing bad things, this channel is run by an agnostic. Yes, that's true. What the hell do atheists have to do with anything? I don't know. People misunderstand quite a bit. my channels, because, and again, that, not everybody's going to, know my history, and know my positions. But, I think by watching one or two of my videos, you can probably glean them. But I haven't made an entire web page on my positions to prevent, straw manning of my positions. That's how bad it got. I had to make a blog page of it. So Ultradamus, yeah, FYI, I'm not an atheist. I'm not a theist either. I make sure that people recognize that. I'm not a theist. I'm not an atheist. And anybody who says that you must be one or the other, I'm sorry, you're just fundamentally wrong. Stop it. Stop it. Get help. Go to college. Get educated. I've never met an educated person that's argued me on this. I don't think. Everyone who's ever came to me and said you must be atheist or theist has absolutely no understanding of either topic, epistemology, philosophy, nothing. Not one person that I recall has ever said, oh, yes, I have an education in this. These are the papers I've read on this. Here's my evidence that you must be either atheist or theist by necessity. And I'm talking about global necessity. Not one. Now, one could argue by local necessity given your premises, but that's irrelevant. I can make any argument for that. I could argue duck or chicken. You must either have duck or chicken for dinner. If not duck, you have chicken. By local necessity, meaning I only have duck and chicken in my refrigerator, So by local deduction, by local necessity, the conclusion is true that if not duck, chicken. Why? Because I only have duck and chicken. So the local necessity is the case. You're either one or the other. But that's how I've set up the disjunct, though. But globally, that's not necessary. Why? Because there's other options out there that do exist, right? You theoretically could have something other than duck or chicken, like, pork. My roommate hates pork. But I don't have pork. So you only offer duck or chicken. So that's the difference between local scope and global scope. So when you're talking about local necessity, you're talking about the two disjuncts you're given. So either you're an atheist or a theist, not theist, therefore atheist. Okay, by local necessity, but I can say the same thing by saying you're either theist or agnostic, not theist, therefore you're agnostic. So what? That means all people who are non-theist are now agnostics. Yeah, by local necessity, that holds true. So what? That's a silly argument. If you set up the disjuncts the way you do it, sure, by local deductive syllogism, you must be one or the other. But globally, that's not the case. Globally, you do not have to be theist or atheist. There are other options out there. There's multitudes of different options out there. But as far as the disposition on the proposition, agnosticism is neither. You can also be an apatheist. You can also be an ichtheist. There's a whole bunch of different things you can be. Now, I know somebody's going to be like, well, those don't, but they've God exists, though. They're the atheist. You've missed the entire point of the conversation. You've defined your terms in a way that are not global nor are normative in philosophy. Not at present, but it could be arranged. Awesome. That'd be fun, April. All right, I'm going to bring this to a close. Thanks, you guys, for watching. I'm going to keep it short. I look forward to your comments. And again, if you see people commenting this stuff, help me out and moderate for me a little bit in the comment section, because I get tired explaining the same things over and over to my commenters that just have not watched the video, or say things that just aren't true. So I'm going to leave you with this. If you think I misrepresented Matt's position, all you have to do is show me where Matt has said that he no longer holds a positive belief. He is agnostic on the proposition, or he doesn't hold a position either way. Or if he specifically says, hey, Steve's wrong. I'm not a positive atheist in the philosophical sense. I don't have the belief that there are no gods. I'm agnostic whether the position of gods exist or not. But I guarantee it, if you asked Matt how many gods exist in the universe, he would say 0. That's a positive atheist, right? Matt's going to say, I don't have a position on that. I'm agnostic on that position. I can't give you a number. No, he'll give you a number. I mean, if he doesn't, I'd be very, very surprised, and I'll have a new video on that. But if somebody just says, hey, Matt, how many gods do you believe exist in the universe? He'll say 0. I don't have that position. I am an agnostic. So, all right. Thanks, guys. And like I said, I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate my mods. I appreciate the members and the patrons. And we'll probably see you later on. Probably tomorrow. I think I'm going to stream tomorrow too. So, hey, Autistic Shell. Good day. Yes, but go ahead and watch from the beginning. Watch it at 1.5 speed. Let me know what you think. If I've misrepresented Matt Dillahunty's position. So far, not one person has said I misrepresented him. And I don't believe I have either. So the people left comments on my videos saying that I misrepresented Matt. I just think they're wrong. They haven't given me any evidence to change my mind. With that, good night.